Chris, thank you for being with us. How do you see this process with Mauricio Pochettino?
Yeah, I mean, exciting. I think there's been a lot of speculation about results or whatever the case is, but I think there's been a lot of progress within the team, and getting to see new players, getting to see new ideas, new opponents. I think we're in the positive direction. I think we're still 9 months out from a World Cup, so we have enough time to make up for maybe results that didn't go our way. But overall, I think we're in the right direction.
What do you think you have to improve with in these friendly games with Japan now tomorrow?
I think to be ruthless. I think in previous games maybe that we haven't won, we've had opportunities that we haven't taken the most out of, and so I think offensively it's being ruthless in front of goal, but I think also defensively, we have to limit shots, limit attacks, and for example, the Korea game, I don't remember how many shots I had on target, but it was definitely less than we had. So I think it's making sure that we kind of alleviate their best players, which are usually their attackers, and making sure that going forward we end up putting a few goals in the back of the net.
What do you think the team is missing? Only the goal, a little bit lucky? Yeah.
I think in soccer, I think you need a little bit of luck. I think certain games the ball hasn't bounced our way. At the end of the day, I think we're just probably 1% away from kind of unlocking that next level. And like I said, we put in some good performances, but at the end of the day, the team that scores the most goals wins. So now maybe it's the final pass, maybe it's the final shot, maybe it's deflection, whatever the case is. But like I said, I think sometimes you need luck, and just right now it's not going in our direction.
You have the opportunity to play at home in the next World Cup. Do you think daily about that day, the first game with the United States?
Definitely. It's been a dream of mine always to play in the World Cup, and especially on home soil. As a kid, I never thought it was even possible. But now that we have the bid for the World Cup and it's less than a year away, it's something that I definitely think about daily. I have a sticky note now. It says World Cup 2026 at home. Being able to hear the national anthem at a World Cup on home soil, I don't think it gets much better than that. I think it's something that's definitely going to propel the game back home in the right direction. I also want to be an inspiration for generations to come, my family. So it's just overall, it's something that I think about more than I like to admit.
Do you feel the pressure for the first games in the World Cup? Do you think you're going to be a little bit pressure with the game?
Definitely. I heard something recently. It says pressure is privilege. I think being able to do a job that creates a sort of pressure is what a lot of people live for. And me personally, I think I'll definitely have butterflies. I think anytime you put on the U.S. crest, it's pressure, but it's pressure in a good way. It's something that we deserved, that we've earned, and I think I'm more excited than anything. So anytime you're able to wear the crest, it's a pressure situation, but pressure in a good way.
This will be maybe the greatest World Cup in the history. Do you think it's going to be the more difficult World Cup too?
I think so. I think there's more teams involved. It's probably a bigger geographically than any other World Cup as well. It's spread among 3 countries, so I think that could play a role with some teams. But like you said, it's the biggest World Cup ever, and so we have to beat a few more teams maybe. But regardless, I think we're only going to take it one game at a time, and hopefully by the end of the tournament, we've played 8 games maybe, and hopefully lifting a trophy at the end of it.
These friendly games are very important for the team. When do you think we will see the team more loose?
Yeah, hopefully soon. I think playing the sport, you never want to lose a game, and especially when you're wearing the crest, you want to win every game possible. We've had some results not go our way, but we know that, like I said earlier, that we're so close to unlocking that final part of our game. And it's good to play teams like Japan, South Korea before the World Cup, so that you're not surprised when the World Cup comes around. We're so used to playing CONCACAF opponents that maybe we haven't gotten exposure to these types of opponents. So regardless of the result, as long as we're playing our style and improving in that aspect, then I think it's success.
You're going to face a lot of Latin teams like Ecuador, now Uruguay, Paraguay. What do you think about them?
Yeah, I mean, very well proven teams. Now they have a lot of superstars as well. When you look at world football, I mean, you see guys from all aspects of life, but especially South America. I think people tend to kind of sleep on Ecuador, but when I think of it, I think of a kind of a football powerhouse. You see Moises Caicedo, Hincapié, players like that, and they're at the top of their game. So again, another 3 good tests for us coming up in the fall against 3 great opponents. Like I mentioned, playing teams from different areas of life. Those are teams that we need to play. If we want to be successful and if we want to have a good World Cup, we don't know what the draw is, but if we can get as many games against good opponents that we don't see every window, then it'll be good for us.
Against Uruguay, it's going to be the revenge for Copa America?
Has to be. I think we left a lot out there on the pitch, and it was devastating to lose that game. But again, Uruguay is also a top team, and we went toe-to-toe with them. And again, it's sometimes you need luck. I remember the offside call or the lack of the offsides being called. I remember seeing it afterwards, and I felt like we did wrong. So when it comes time to play them this time, we'll make sure that VAR has nothing to do with it.
You were very close to score last time against South Korea. Pochettino said he asked you to go forward always, or?
Not always, but when Sebastian Berhalter has the ball, we kind of just make eye contact, and it's like we can always find each other. So one thing that I think Mauricio has really stressed coming into the national team is that we can take our chances on set pieces, and we had a lot of success this summer in Gold Cup on set pieces, and if you can add a goal as a defender, then it's almost like a perfect day. So anytime it's in a good area, like I said, me and Sebastian just kind of lock eyes and we try to find each other, and it makes the game a lot easier for us.
How was the start with Crystal Palace? How was the start of the season?
Yeah, it was great. Won a trophy, won a Community Shield. We also qualified for the Conference League, so it's been a good start. I believe 3 wins, 3 draws. So we're on a good path. We kind of continued the success that we had last year. I think at this point in last season, we didn't win a game until October, November. So definitely started a lot better than we did last season.
It's a shame you couldn't play the Europa League. You qualified for the Europa League, and now you have to play the conference, no?
I agree. It's a very confusing situation. I think we fully deserved it by winning the FA Cup, and somehow we were demoted, even though there's a lot of other multi-club models that are playing in Champions League and Europa League. But at the end of the day, we were dealt this hand, and so now we have to go and win the Conference League.
Now you have to win the Conference League.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you very much, Chris, and good luck.
Thank you very much.
See you at the World Cup.
See you at the World Cup.
Ya que nos encontraste, no nos pierdas.
Suscríbete al canal de YouTube de Telemundo Deportes.